Hi friends, I hope you've had a great Monday. It's been quiet at my house today, but that's all right. Started giving dog number 2 a haircut, and he didn't like it very much, so he's not quite finished. We'll have to finish him later, so he looks a little rough right now. No pun intended. But anyways, I've got one story for you today, and I know you've heard the story of the 3 little pigs, about the wolf and him blowing their house down, and but this is a little bit of a twist to that story. It's called The True Story of the 3 Little Pigs. Okay, and this is told by John Saiska and illustrated by Lane Smith. Now this version of this story, it is as if the wolf is telling the story. Okay, so the wolf is telling it from his point of view about what happened. Everybody knows the story of the 3 little pigs, or at least they think they do. But I'll let you in on a little secret. Nobody knows the real story because nobody has ever heard my side of the story. I'm the wolf. Alexander T. Wolf. You can call me Al. I don't know how this whole big bad wolf thing got started, but it's all wrong. Maybe it's because of our diet. Hey, it's not my fault wolves eat cute little animals like bunnies, sheep, and pigs. That's just the way we are. If cheeseburgers were cute, folks would probably think you were big and bad too. But like I was saying, the whole big bad wolf thing is all wrong. The real story is about a sneeze and a cup of sugar. And then that says, this is the real story. Way back in Once Upon a Time, I was making a birthday cake for my dear old granny. I had a terrible sneezing cold, and I ran out of sugar. Both pages. So I walked down the street to ask my neighbor for a cup of sugar. Now, this neighbor was a pig, and he wasn't too bright either. He had built his whole house out of straw. Can you believe it? I mean, who in his right mind would build a house of straw? There he is. He's going to that house. So, of course, the minute I knocked on the door, it fell right in. I didn't want to just walk into someone's house, so I called, little pig, are you in? But there was no answer. I was just about to go home without the cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake. That's when my nose started to itch. I felt a sneeze coming on. Well, I huffed and I puffed. And I sneezed a great sneeze. Achoo! And you know what? That whole straw house fell down. And right in the middle of the pile of straw was the first little pig, dead as a doornail. He had been home the whole time. It seemed like a shame to leave a perfectly good ham dinner lying there in the straw, so I ate it up. Think of it as a big cheeseburger just lying there. I was feeling a little bit better, but I still didn't have my cup of sugar, so I went to the next neighbor's house. Well, this neighbor was the first little pig's brother. He was a little smarter, but not much. He had built his house of sticks. I rang the bell on the stick house. Ding dong. Nobody answered. I called, Mr. Pig, are you in? He yelled back, go away, wolf, you can't come in. I'm shaving the hairs on my chinny chin. See him shaving. I had just grabbed the doorknob when I felt another sneeze coming on. I huffed and I snuffed and I tried to cover my mouth, but I sneezed a giant sneeze. Achoo! And you're not going to believe it, but this guy's house fell down just like his brother's. When the dust cleared, there was the second little pig, dead as a doornail. Wolf's honor. Now, you know food will spoil if you just leave it out in the open, so I did the only thing there was to do. I had dinner again. Think of it as a second helping. I was getting awfully full, but my cold was feeling a little better, and I still didn't have that cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake. So I went to the next house. This guy was the first and second little pig's brother. He must have been the brains of the family because he had built his house of bricks. I knocked on the brick house. No answer. I called, Mr. Pig, are you in? And do you know what that rude little guy answered? Get out of here, Wolf. Don't bother me again. Well, talk about impolite. He probably had a whole sack full of sugar, and he wouldn't give me even one little cup for my dear sweet old granny's birthday cake. What a pig. I was just about to go home and maybe make a nice birthday card instead of a cake when I felt my cold coming on. I huffed and I snuffed and I sneezed once again. Then the third little pig yelled out, "And your old granny can sit on a pin." Oh, that's not very nice. Oh, no. Now, I'm usually a pretty calm guy, calm fellow, but when somebody talks about my granny like that, I go a little crazy. When the cops drove up, of course, I was trying to break down this pig's door, and the whole time I was huffing and puffing and sneezing and making a real scene. And the rest, they say, is history. So he gets labeled the Big Bad Wolf. The news reporters found out about the 2 pigs I had for dinner, and they figured a sick guy going to borrow a cup of sugar didn't sound very exciting. So they jazzed up the story with all that huff and puff and blow your house down, and they made me the Big Bad Wolf. That's it. The real story. I was framed. But maybe you could loan me a cup of sugar? So that's a little bit different twist to that story. Because in the other story, he is the big bad wolf and he's there to gobble them up and eat them. And he did go to the 3 different houses. But in this story, he's saying he was going to their house just to borrow a cup of sugar and that he had a cold. I don't know. That might be how it really happened. Maybe you could come up with a whole nother reason why the wolf was going to the pig's house. Well, I hope you guys have had a great day. I hope you have a good night. And I hope you have a wonderful day tomorrow. Just remember, I love you. Your teachers love you. Your mom and dad love you. But who loves you most of all? God does. Okay, friends, have a nice night. Hope you sleep well and have nice dreams. Good night.